Have you written a... TAM KBDT proudly presents Life Solutions, Coaching, Counseling, Naturopathic Medicine, Insights for Successful Living, and Getting Better with Ann Beal.
Welcome. We want to help you enjoy being sheltered in place. Today, we actually want you to know what wonderful things you can do at home. So we are starting a series today of all the wonderful things you can do to feel better and boost your immune system and boost your mood and boost your endorphins, everything while you're home. So today we have Ron Neitzel, who's the Green Wizard, and he is going to share about why it's so important to get outside in your yard, what soil can do for you. I am joined by Dr. Jim Slaughter.
Hey, everybody. Good to have you with us today.
And he knows all about how the brain chemicals are improved through touching the soil and being in the soil and seeing beautiful flowers. And
absolutely.
All those things. So he is here to help us today, and we have Ron on the phone. Hi, Ron.
Hey, everybody. How's Texas doing today?
Texas is kind of overcast and a little bit damp feeling where we are in North Texas, but
it wasn't that way.
I'm not sure everybody's that way today.
It was beautiful, and we were all outside, and then yesterday it got overcast and rainy, and of course rain is good for the soil. And so today I'm wearing bright orange, going to get everybody back in the mood because it's going to be beautiful soon. And it's going to warm back up, and we're going to plant. And Ron, you are the... Yes, go ahead.
Can I ask how many times have you cut the grass yet this year?
We haven't cut it at all. We've learned to do all the things that you... Oh, wait, I did. I just cut it
once. Yes.
Yeah, he corrected me. Yeah, because it got so long and beautiful. And so I thought, well, I just did it real high, though. I cut it high, and it really didn't need much at all. And so that's the first time we've cut it since, I can't even remember, maybe...
Okay, so you're about 2-3 weeks behind
October.
me.
Really? I'm behind you. Well, I should have done it. I should have done it 2 or 3 weeks ago. In fact, I was worried about my mower. We've had deaths, and I say deaths plural in the family, so we have not been. Sorry. And so I finally got out. I do love it. It's weird. I love mowing. And so I got out, and I told him that would make me feel better. I'm going to do that. And
Ann loves to mow, and I like mowing too, but it's therapeutic for her. She loves doing it. In fact, if I get out and do it before she does it, she's not real happy. So I tend to let her do that. I trim and do the other things that we need, but as a team, we work pretty well.
We do.
Awesome. And that's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
Now, you know, with this situation going on with all of us under lockdown, you know that working in the garden and doing yard work and what have you, just the contact with nature and spending time out there actually increases the immune system.
You know,
getting out of the house and
Absolutely.
getting away from the TV sets and putting the phones down and getting out in the yard is actually good for the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
When so many other things is a vitamin or eating this or eating that, it turns out that our immune system, just in the vibration of the planet and being closer to the earth, will boost your immune system.
And getting away from the electronics, the EMFs. And I think that part of it is people, when they get out there, they do feel better. And it's just getting them out of the basic routine and habit of sitting in front of the television or a screen or on their phone. And once they're out and they get busy, it is so rewarding. You actually, we've seen pictures of your yard already. It's beautiful green. And I think that's your specialty, is how to make things grow way beyond the norm, and also not even having to water, because that's one of the things we haven't watered since like October or November. Right. I mean, we haven't watered at all yet. And so for you, that is your specialty. So tell us today, when we are talking about getting out and gardening, all the things that for you to really encourage people, what would be your number one thing you'd have them start with?
My number one thing would be to be absolutely consciously aware of the chemicals of the past, the glyphosates and everything that we've used, and get out there with some Dawn dish soap and a hose and sprayer and foam up the yard. Let the kids play, have a good time, slip and slide, what have you, because Dawn, one of the safest chemicals, can wash out all the glyphosates and start pushing that stuff out of the soil and start stopping the clay problem, which is why we're getting so much flooding. And we can reverse that with just a little bit of Dawn and a hose end sprayer.
Wouldn't you say that there are people who are afraid of dirt? We were reading an article today that, people don't want their kids playing in the dirt. They think it's bad for them. They think they might get sick. And so people used to play in the dirt. Kids would even eat dirt. And they've talked about how by not being in the dirt, you read that article today, didn't you, Jen?
Yeah, I thought it was really well done. You bet.
How it's caused people to have more anxiety and more depression and all those kinds of things.
And you and I, we were talking about that we weren't particularly dirt-free when we were kids growing up. And probably one of the reasons you and I are so mentally healthy.
That's it, the dirt. Yeah, I had 4 brothers, and so I played outside a lot. My mom, told her, even though she had 6 kids, I told her not really that long ago, I was like, you had it easy. You just said, go outside. Everybody go outside. And so we were always outside. But I do think that by starting with Dawn and soaping up their lawn, it's so good for the lawn, but also they wash off all the chemicals and they don't have to be worried about their kids, right?
Absolutely. That's the first stage, is getting those chemicals out of the system and start getting them away from our kids, getting them away from our pets, start getting a little healthier just by washing the yard off.
Well, I like what you said about the immune system. I've contended the whole time the corona thing's been going that the best defense against it is a strong immune system. And I feel like Ann and I have really worked hard to create strong immune systems for ourselves and to help our clients see how to do that. And I really like the fact that you hit on that when you were talking about the importance of things in the soil.
Well, now step in and correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was 3 weeks ago Dr. Wallach came out with his recipe against this to boost the immune system, and wasn't one of the key ingredients vitamin D that we can only get from sunlight or a supplement?
Right,
so
it was, you're right.
More time in the sun is just going to increase the vitamin D in our system and help us all.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
And he said that it's harder to get it from a supplement. The best way to get it is to be outside at least 30 minutes a day in the sun.
Right.
And I do think that when we were talking about the dirt, playing in the dirt, what is it about the dirt when you're working in the dirt? Instead of, some people like to use gloves, but apparently people who use their hands have they don't have these issues, since we were reading. They don't have the issues with shopping addiction or any of these other addictions. People who are gardeners.
Well, you remember, as you've read the book, The Green Wizard's Guide, there is some things that I've mentioned in there that I go through as to how to feed and how to nurture and how to, but escaping that, the food web is microbes and a lot of these diseases and a lot of these things that we continue, or somebody continues to manipulate and cause these different issues that are battling our immune system. As we come in contact with these things naturally, it's sort of like vaccinating yourself with everything that Mother Nature's offers, because it's all in the soil. We'll come in contact with it as kids. We'll come in contact, playing in the mud and playing in the dirt. You're coming in contact with very low levels of these kind of things that are healthy. They won't hurt you until they get into a concentrated form. So building your immune system by coming in contact with everything, it just makes you healthier.
We read an article, and we're looking at it coming over here, and it mentions a bacterium, Mycobacterium vacci, that triggers the release of serotonin in the brain. And so we began thinking about that and hoping we could make that one of the focuses of our show today. The fact that good brain chemicals, some people call them the happy brain chemicals, serotonin, dopamine in particular, maybe oxytocin, which is another question I have for you later.
Oxytocin.
But and this is just feeding off of what you were saying about microbes in the soil that are good for us and trigger certain good things in us. And so serotonin and dopamine, Ron, the chemicals in our brain that raise our spirits and our moods. This is something that is not just something that we feel when we start working in the soil. It's something, there's a scientific basis for this, apparently.
Yeah. Well, you look at the difference. We're all so different across the entire planet. There are so many different things that I'm sure Ann has a nice thing with chocolate, where we may have it with a little bit of grease under our
How did you know that?
Well, it's just a guess. But these serotonin levels are released, as a mood factor, as this, as that. And for some people it's shopping, and some people it's flowers, or being taken out to a beautiful restaurant and wined and dined and cheese and the whole deal. And some of us are, we get that rush from sitting in a race car and listening to that motor purr. Well, we get those same things from gardening. We don't need to be out spending money to get those endorphin releases and feel that much better, when all we need to do is spend a little bit of time in the garden and watch it grow. The only thing that they're not hitting on in that report, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I haven't seen the report you've got in your hand, is, does it say it needs to be healthy soil?
It doesn't talk about the that necessity.
And that's, that was in a different article we saw about the glyphosate. But you're talking about healthy soil that has a lot of microbes in it, right? Instead of the hard clay soil, right? The hard, because and that's what you're trying to help them prevent. You want it to be really soft, really deep down, and soft soil. And I know that every time I get good soil from compost or anything like that, it feels good on the hands. And also, certain plants, like I love really feathery grass, and those grassy plants that are real petite for me, and little petite flowers. And we were looking at all the different things, and I don't know if that's foxglove or Mattisfont Abbey, all these really feathery kind of plants. When I touch them, or even different scents from plants, the scents, or even the scents from the lemon tree or fruit trees, raspberries and blackberries, they cause endorphins. I love that, right? When I walk out and I smell beautiful flowers and things. And that's what I want people to prepare for by doing it now. And it's funny because we are always so busy, and so we've really neglected planting flowers. And we went last weekend and we bought some plants, and I bought a hibiscus, and we put them out. And every time I walk outside and I see all those flowers, it's just so, it just hits the senses in every way, not only the smell, but the beauty.
Yeah, it's invigorating, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners can attest to. They've got house plants, and they talk to their their healthy plants in their house, and there's an exchange, and there's been some scientific study as to plants associating with their owners. There's a mental vibration between the two of them, and if one is feeling sick, the other will reflect that, and vice versa. And the plants and the humans are connected on this planet. There's a vibration, and we put out those good vibes. They feed us back the good vibes. It's incredible what Mother Nature's given us, and all we got to do is give it healthy soil.
I've always contended too, as I've thought about it, that there's a natural, actually a God-created, God-given connection that humans have with the soil. I mean, that's where we came from, and so from the very beginning, man has been connected to the soil. And so to me, there's a spiritual element to doing work in the ground.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That vibration that the planet has, we thrive on it. When astronauts went to space and did not have that vibration, they got very sick. That issue had to be addressed for the science, or them going into space. I hear it.
Isn't that interesting?
So yes, there is a connection. Yes.
And I know when you're talking about plants talking to each other, it's interesting. They've actually done research on how plants feel pain. Plants send off, like they've attached these monitors that they do for people on lie detector tests. They've attached those to plants, and they found that plants actually do send off, they have different noises and different feelings. And so I'm not going to say we, I actually talk to my plants now on the inside. And so one of the things we do want to cover is if you're afraid to go out, because there are people who are truly afraid to step outside, there are lots of wonderful plants to boost endorphins and dopamine and anything like that inside your house as well. And we'll cover those too when we get back. So stay right here. Listen to our sponsors. They love us, they help us, and they just boost us up.
Say we're not getting any younger, but many thousands have felt younger after a few short months using Dr. Wallach's all-natural longevity nutritional supplements. How many times have you said one of these days I need to call Dr. Wallach? and find out what I need. Well, make that day today. Here's how to get that information. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call. The information is free, and there is no pressure. So do it now. That's 800-214-0065. If you face health challenges such as heart disease, arthritis, diabetes, fibromyalgia, depression, infertility, ADD or ADHD, high blood pressure, or one of hundreds of other diseases, help is available. All you have to do is make the call. You have nothing to lose but the pain and suffering. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. You've been listening to Dr. Wallach, and I bet you have some questions. We want to help. And here's how you can get the answers. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call right now. Don't wait any longer to find out how Dr. Wallach's own all-natural nutritional supplements by Youngevity can help you. Are you concerned with reducing your risk of heart disease, cancer, stroke, or high blood pressure? Help is available. Do you have arthritis, sore joints, lower back pain, or fibromyalgia? Call now. Dr. Wallach creates his own formulation so you can be sure that what is on the label is actually in the bottle. Whatever your health challenge, make this call. Thousands like you have seen results for a happier, healthier life. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Call today. 800-214-0065. Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just two of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible Youngevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
Are you drowning in debt? Are you struggling to make minimum payments? Did you know that on average, a household with at least one credit card struggles with over $15,000 in credit card debt? If this sounds like you, know that it's not your fault. Credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates and low minimum payments. Before you know it, you're in over your head. National Debt Relief has helped thousands of good people just like you become debt-free with our Debt Reset program that will dramatically reduce your debt down to a fraction of what you owe. Our Debt Reset program is customized to get you debt-free in as little as 24 to 48 months with one low monthly payment. If you owe over $10,000 in credit card debt or even personal loans, call 800-274-9490. There are no upfront fees or out-of-pocket expenses. You don't pay a dime until we succeed. Call now to see how the Debt Reset program can work for you. 800-274-9490. That's 800-274-9490. 800-274-9490.
To admit it's getting better, a little better all the time.
And now here's more Getting Better with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
We had a lot of fun on the break talking to Ron. If you would like to watch the video, go to Getting Better with Ann Beal Live on Facebook, and we will post the show on YouTube after the show. We can also post it on Instagram. You can email us at gettingbetterwithanbeal@gmail.com, or you can call us at 817-501-1638 if you would like to have telehealth with Dr. Jim Slaughter or Ann Beal. Actually, Dr. Jim Slaughter's telehealth number is 817-991-4964. And we both do sessions by video or by phone, or in our practice. But right now we have our practice closed, sort of closed. It's not closed. But so we're doing that all the time, coaching and counseling. But on the break, we had a lot of fun. We were asking about gardening because planting fruit, Christy had a question about pineapples. So how big is, if there's no fruit, do you have any idea how long it takes for a pineapple to bloom, like with fruit?
1 season.
1 season. She says she hasn't. It's been 3 years. So what's she doing wrong?
Ooh,
we know.
Not good.
Yeah, soil's not good. I knew that.
Christy, we've talked, Christy.
So blooming minerals, right, is what she needs?
Yes, get some blooming minerals in there. Get some sort of organic matter down in that soil, and sweeten the soil a little bit. Bring that organic matter back to life. Bring the food web back in there.
So sweeten the soil, you're talking about pure maple syrup. You aren't talking about, I mean, they can go to the grocery store, but that's an expensive way to do it, right?
Extremely expensive. Oh,
very expensive.
It's called deer grade molasses. You can get it at any feed store by the gallon for like $10. And you've got a full gallon, which will do what you said you had 2 acres. That's probably 2 years worth of sweetening for your entire property and doing it twice.
Oh, you mean 2 gallons, or you said 2 acres, but you mean?
Yeah, you can do 2 acres with half a gallon.
I got. Did you know that? Ooh, because you mix it with. So you use a hose and you mix it with water, right?
Yeah, you just run it out of the. Yeah,
hose and sprayer. I was going to just go back to your book, Ron, and check the recommendation for that.
I forgot to do that.
And that's one thing we haven't done yet is sweeten the soil with molasses, but that's next up for us.
You're going to see a nice explosion of soil when you do that one.
Right.
So Ron has this incredible book, The Green Wizard's Guide by Ron Neitzel, and Neitzel is spelled Neitzel. He has all the things he's going to talk about, I think, well, maybe not all of them, because Bloomin' Minerals is not in here, but he talks about Bloomin' Minerals all the time through Longevity. It's one of Dr. Wallach's products, and a lot of farmers use it too, but you can buy it in a smaller quantity for a garden online, or you can buy it for your farm in a huge quantity. And so if you have any questions about that, you can get to us and ask us. But Ron, this book, it is it's such an easy read, and it's so easy to understand. It's like, to me, almost how to have an incredible yard and garden for dummies.
I didn't mean it to be that way, but it's the way I deal with everything. And I wanted to write a book in such a way that it was an entertaining coffee chat, where we would sit down one morning, have a cup of coffee, and in a couple of hours you had every detail you needed to have my yard.
You succeeded, I think, with your book, Ron.
Yeah.
You've put humor into it. It's wonderful. Entertaining is a good word, and very informative and very helpful, and we refer to it all the time.
The master of all that is grown from the ground. Go ahead, sorry.
Let me pose a slight question to you, because we are running into a small issue, because they see the word wizard and they see spells and charms. Did you see anything in there that it would be considered anti-religious, or did you see anything wizardly and or a spell or a casting of anything in there?
No. And I hadn't thought about people thinking that, because wizard just means that you're all-knowing, like you are the man, right? But I do see how someone might accidentally think that. But when you talk about the magical food web that you need to bring, it is kind of magical to just put down corn gluten. Deer, what deer often eat, you just put it all. We put it down all over the land, and I couldn't believe how things grew. It was magical. And I think that's what you're meaning more than anything. Ron, you got to tell us what cat litter does for the soil.
Alrighty.
What does it do? Go ahead and tell me.
It's bringing up your acidic levels, so around your fruit trees and your bushes and your berries, it's going to amp things up and make the soil more conducive to what the berries want, and your berries will explode because of it.
So this is cat litter after the cats have used the litter, or is it cat litter beforehand? So you can empty your litter boxes, but maybe not just...
Absolutely. Right around your bushes, right around your roses, and it will work wonders.
That is incredible. That's good to know. So you have lots of tips like that. We are also working to grow. We wanted to know about growing lemons in a pot and oranges and things like that. So stay right here, because we are going to give you all the tips to have beautiful color and smell and fruit when we get right back.
Does your business spend
Focus on Valor with Jay Seffer.
Today we highlight Medal of Honor recipient William Henry Johnson. In May 1918, Private William Johnson was on watch in the Argonne Forest when Germans mounted a surprise attack. The odds were 24 against 1. Under intense enemy fire and despite suffering significant wounds, Johnson held his ground and mounted a brave counterattack, resulting in several enemy casualties. He even prevented a wounded comrade being taken prisoner. Johnson repeatedly exposed himself to grave danger by advancing from his position to engage enemy soldiers, sometimes in hand-to-hand combat. The action lasted throughout the day, and though wounded 21 times, Johnson used grenades, the butt of his rifle, a bolo knife, and his bare fists as he finally repelled the enemy advance. These acts of incredible valor would earn him the World War I nickname of the Black Death. Valor is a gift. Those who possess it don't always know until destiny calls, like it did for Private William Henry Johnson.
The caring staff at Any Lab Test Now of Rockwall would like to remind you that donating blood to help ensure the citizens of Rockwall County have an adequate supply of blood is extremely important. Donating a pint of blood can save up to 3 lives. You can come and donate the gift of life on Saturday, March 21st. Carter Blood Care will be accepting blood donations from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. Blood is the most precious gift you could give another person. This important message brought to you by Any Lab Test of Rockwall, 714 East Interstate 30 in Rockwall, online at anylabtestnow.com/Rockwall. Dreaming up the ideal retirement is your job. Helping you get there is ours. That's why we encourage you to contribute to an Edward Jones IRA by April 15th. By investing in an Edward Jones IRA, you can take advantage of potential tax benefits for 2019 and give your money more time to potentially grow. To help you make sense of your retirement goals before the April 15th tax deadline, contact Fritz Beckworth, your local Edward Jones financial advisor, at 128 South Cockrell Hill Road, DeSoto, Texas. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC, 972-274-0237. When was the last time you really lost control of your morning radio listening? May I suggest JP, Kathy, and the crew?
I'm JP.
I'm Kathy. And together we're
JP,
Kathy,
and the crew.
And you are?
Kathy.
No, the crew.
Oh, man. I thought we were switching back personalities.
You got to stay with this here. If you're going to run with it, run with it. I mean, come on.
Both of you hush. They're JP, Kathy, and the crew. Check them out tomorrow morning and every morning, 8 to 9 on 1160 AM KBDT. Great life today.
I've got to admit, it's getting better, a little better, all the time.
If you'd like to get better, call Ann right now. 214-810-8255. 214-810-TALK. Now more with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
Yes, we would love more questions. You are welcome to call us. We have lots of people that are willing to ask on Facebook and text and all that. We did have a question about pineapples, so that was good. One of the things we wanted you to know is when you're planting or planning it for your garden or actually for your yard. I mean, we call anything in the yard gardening, but when you're thinking about what you would like to do in your planning, you can be so creative and putting your creative things, whatever you picture in your yard, and then getting down and playing in the soil and planting things, or even just walking barefoot in the grass, being outside, feeling the plants. Some of them are so pretty. I was talking about the feathery plants. And so we talk about creativity and taxatility and even propagating when you're planting and seeing the produce of harvesting. I mean, all these are the things that really help you raise your mood and your energy and just to feel better about life. Now, one of the things, Ron, that you were saying on break was how being outside is better for you than being inside, especially at this time, and yet so many people are scared about even going outside.
Oh yeah, the viruses that we're dealing with, and I don't mean to pick on one specific. This is just in general, just like with a little bit of mold in the shower or something, and how toxic it can be. Mm-hmm. When you're trapped indoors, these things are trapped in there with you, and it concentrates in the air without high-end HEPA filters and this, that, and the other. Yes. You're safer outside with a little bit of a breeze to keep those things down and get all of nature's actual good viruses in your system than you ever would be indoors under a toxic fume or a toxic cloud or something. being indoors, it can concentrate and make a problem worse than it actually needs to be.
And
that's why so many of us love to just throw the windows open in the spring and house clean.
Well, and that's what I was going to say too. That sometimes we don't ever open our windows anymore, and only our doors occasionally as we go in and out. And I think that creates an atmosphere on the inside that can be detrimental.
Yeah, well, think about it this way. If you've got a landscaping company that comes into your apartment complex and they spray chemicals and you potentially step in the grass and get that in your shoes, next thing you know, it's in your carpeting in your apartment or in your house because they're not doing the all-natural way. When you go back to the Green Wizard system, all that is nature's way, and there are no chemicals ever used or needed. And it cleans everything up. Your house is cleaner. Your front entrance is cleaner. You'll actually find you have to wash it less because everything stays in the yard where it should be.
And, it's interesting that everything they said, making us healthier as time goes on, people don't open their windows. People use air conditioning more. They don't get outside as much. We don't play in the dirt as much. I mean, instead, people are getting sicker. People aren't getting healthier. All the things that
Right, our immune systems are dropping away because we don't have that contact with nature as much as we should have. Grow houseplants. Grow little lemon trees and little fruit trees in the house. You can grow dwarf tomatoes in the house and get back to nature. All it's going to do is exchange oxygen with you. The more you breathe, the more it's going to give you more oxygen back. It filters the air and cleans everything.
And I've heard about peace plants inside when you're planting inside things that really help with the air. Do you know what a peace plant is?
Isn't that along the fern family?
Yes, it is. It looks like a fern. I looked it up. And so there are these plants that for inside, if you're not going to open your windows up and anything like that, bring these plants inside that really bring healthy oxygen levels into the house.
Right. Well, there's a few warnings there because there are a few ferns that are actually toxic to cats. So if you have cats and that kind of stuff, bring in the correct kind of cat grass that they enjoy that's safe for them. Watch the toxicity levels because some of the plants that we truly enjoy and give us a lot of oxygen can actually be detrimental. It's not something we would eat.
And so you can Google
you could
those,
grow dandelions in your house, and they're good for you. You can eat dandelions, use them in your salad. A lot of the plants that are out there in the world are edible plants.
Well, and I know to filter the air, they talked about peace lilies and closet plants, but I didn't know what closet plants were either. And but I do think that people can Google plants that would be great for inside. And if you have cats or dogs, you want to check on that too. I was wondering with oranges and lemons and even avocados and things like that normally don't grow real well here in Texas. So we just need to put them in pots and then bring them in the house in cold weather, right? Or put them in the garage or something like that, or in our greenhouses if we have greenhouses.
Right. Well, if you've got a greenhouse, yeah, absolutely. Run to the greenhouse because you want to keep most of those plants in the 70-degree range or higher, and you want to keep a higher moisture content around them.
Well, and see, I didn't know that. So the fact that I just left my avocado tree out, see, last night it was crazy because it was in the 80s, and then last night it got like 35. I should have brought that in then.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in the ground, though, right?
Well, I was going to dig it up when it started to get cold, but I put it out there thinking it was warm enough. And that's where the problem can go this time of year because it gets cold at the end of March and April sometimes. So if we do that, we were talking about in your book, you talk about different kinds of minerals that, to enhance the soil, and Bloomin' Minerals is one of those. I mentioned about corn gluten you talk about putting down. You have other things that you talk about putting in the soil. And I know you mentioned washing off the soil with Dawn, and it's also good for the soil, Dawn dishwashing liquid. And so we did, I think we did all that. We did the Dawn, we did the gluten that we got at the feed store. What else did we do?
We did alfalfa.
We did alfalfa, like you suggested. It was just the
granules.
The granules.
Yeah, nature's natural steroid.
We got that at the feed store too. But they did have last year. We got the chunks. It came in like blocks, right? And so we put all that down. And so it's amazing what grew this year and how soft our soil is compared to last year. And
what you're doing is creating a thicker topsoil base.
Okay.
When you start to understand your soils, you have topsoil sitting at the very top of this mountain of dirt, and I'm saying that the wrong way, and I apologize, but it's topsoil, then it's soil because it's missing organic matter, then it becomes dirt, and then it turns to clay. Well, as we wash these things away, the organic matter gets down into the dirt and starts to turn it into soil. And then, with the activity of the worms and everything else, everything starts to fluff up. It naturally aerates. You get more topsoil. The clay starts to dissipate until you get down to the rock bed, which could be 40, 60 feet deep. And you can have all of that in topsoil, where Mother Nature is at her extremes. Everything is happy. And with a little bit of corn gluten, you can stop any and all weed seeds throughout all of that and release all the minerals that nature has left there that are trapped in the clay currently, which, a lot of our yards are suffering. They're lacking minerals. As we wash this stuff away and open these things up, the minerals become available once again. Now, with the Green Wizard's Guide, yes, we boost that using Bloomin' Minerals from Longevity and getting out there with some of the other ones that are in my book. We amp that up right there on the surface. But over time, you're going to start releasing everything from the clay bed that has been there for eons, ready to grow.
So if we still have weeds growing now, because we did the corn gluten kind of back in November, right? We did it in November or end of October. Do we do the gluten again? What do we do for the weeds now? Because I know you don't want us to use weed and feed, which is what we would normally do.
Well, no, that's what corn gluten is. We call that a weed and feed because once it's in the soil,
I didn't know.
It soaks in, it will go in and it will knock down and dehydrate and basically kill the weed seeds that are currently in your topsoil.
So would you use that in your garden too to keep the weeds from growing in the garden?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Pour it on.
That would be good. Just pour it on.
And cover the soil. You never want to see soil. That's a sign of sick soil. When you're looking at your grass,
that's right,
and you see bare spots, and some people want to put that off and say, well, that was some leaves, or that was this, or that was that they didn't clean up in the fall. That's signs of problems. You could get moss in those areas. There may be something else going on. There's clay in that area that's way too close to the surface, and that needs to be addressed.
So
and
you
that's
would
where
say,
we start heading into the minerals.
Sir, you would want us to cover it with either mulch or some kind of compost or leaves or something. You want it covered. What would you suggest?
Right. I would put down hay. I would put down alfalfa hay. I would use the leaves from the local woods. I would do as much as I possibly can in nature's way.
Yes,
and not have to trace it down, by using man's method, which would be shredding paper and doing this and doing that. You really don't. You can, absolutely, but on the other hand, with nature's abundance and everything that's available from last fall, you can cover your garden in that, and it will thrive. Just pulling the minerals right out of that cover crop.
Because if they don't, it gets really hard, doesn't it? That's where you get the hardness that causes the flooding.
Right. When the clay starts to come back and you get your glyphosates and your other different minerals and your other different chemicals that are all oil-based out in your yard and out in your gardens, and when you start causing the clay problem and you stop the release of the minerals that all of our plants need. We can go the opposite direction by just covering the soil and making sure none of it sees sunlight.
Well, and I'm sitting here in the studio in the back behind our producer, our TV screens, and it's got CNN and Fox News and everything on there. I've been watching the whole show. It's so stressful. And one of the things that we were reading about is a woman who moved to Australia, and she's a master gardener, and she called up the city asking if there was any need for gardening classes, because she loved doing that. And they got upset and said it was so stupid. They needed classes on stress management and things like that, and hung up on her. And she said in the article that, gardening was the best stress reliever than anything that she's ever experienced. And because she was out doing things in her yard and things like that, she never had any of these other addictions because of all the stress relieving and all the chemicals that being outside and being out in the soil boost. And
that particular, those needs were satisfied, that she was gratified, satisfied in what her garden and her lawn gave her.
And she probably ate less chocolate.
Hey,
probably did. Yeah, probably did.
I ate last weekend. I mean, I've been doing a lot better with the chocolate. When the weather gets better, being outside. And when we were out in the yard, we were also getting our pool ready. And we had a lot of funny things happen. Our dog, we noticed he didn't make a noise for a long time. We rescued this dog. We look over and he is in the compost pile. He's in the compost fence. And I don't know how he got in there, but he couldn't get out. And the fence had collapsed around him, and he was quiet. He knew he was in trouble. I guess he ate everything. He ate a lot. I thought he was going to get so sick. But there were a lot of fun things about being outside, getting the pool ready, and planting and everything. And I never thought about chocolate. I mean, I think that whatever people do to cope with the stress of what's going on, learning that we'd love you to have healthy pleasures. Was what Dr. Slaughter calls them as healthy pleasures. Mm-hmm. Maybe you might call them healthy cravings instead of unhealthy cravings.
Yeah, it's one of the 4 pillars of health, from my perspective anyway, is healthy pleasures, and gardening would be near the top of the list of those.
Yeah, if you think about what makes you feel good in the garden, when you come out, I love coming out in the yard looking good. Just having it be a pretty yard.
I like to see you looking good.
The yard look good.
Oh.
And having flowers. And we have a fountain right out front, and we have sage and things around that. And it is so good to see those flowers blooming again, and everything's blooming. And that's why I was a little worried about it getting cold again.
It does make you feel really good to walk outside and begin to see the flowers blooming and the grass, everything turning green and getting just really, really beautiful for the spring. And it really makes you feel good. And
we're stuck home, so what a better thing to do. And I know for you, Ron, you tend to do it anyway. But now that we're forced to be home a lot more, what a great thing to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my neighbors are all just, floating and flittering around and doing all their things, trying to get their yards ready. And I'm just sitting back on my porch watching because I'm already done. I did it all last year.
Yeah, because you don't have to do very much. I know you don't.
You follow the guide, you do less.
That's what we want.
Garden, and a lot of people are afraid of that. I don't want to be doing a garden because I have to weed. Well, corn gluten and following the method will take care of those weeds, everybody.
Yeah, good point.
Yes,
I
know you have even in there rock dust and things like that. There's so many good tips in there. One of the things that we want you to do while you're home is be productive in things that you're going to be glad that you had this time. Because so many of us just don't have time, and we're forced to have time. So being creative and learning to do new things and getting out and do things that you always say that you want to do. If I was home, I would be in shape. If I was home, my house would be clean. If I was home all the time, my yard would look great, just like my neighbor. Well, now you're home. So pick one and do that. So next week we're going to have cooking on, about cooking at home and doing things like that. All those things that you really say you would do. This is the time. So when we come back, some more suggestions to make your yard beautiful.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just 2 of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. You've been listening to Dr. Wallach, and I bet you have some questions. We want to help. And here's how you can get the answers. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call right now. Don't wait any longer to find out how Dr. Wallach's own all-natural nutritional supplements by Longevity can help you. Are you concerned with reducing your risk of heart disease, cancer, stroke, or high blood pressure? Help is available. Do you have arthritis, sore joints, lower back pain, or fibromyalgia? Call now. Dr. Wallach creates his own formulation so you can be sure that what is on the label is actually in the bottle. Whatever your health challenge, make this call. Thousands like you have seen results for a happier, healthier life. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Call today, 800-214-0065. They say we're not getting any younger, but many thousands have felt younger after a few short months using Dr. Wallach's all-natural longevity nutritional supplements. How many times have you said one of these days, I need to call Dr. Wallach and find out what I need? Well, make that day today. Here's how to get that information. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call. The information is free, and there is no pressure. So do it now. That's 800-214-0065. If you face health challenges such as heart disease, arthritis, diabetes, fibromyalgia, depression, infertility, ADD or ADHD, high blood pressure, or one of hundreds of other diseases, help is available. All you have to do is make the call. You have nothing to lose but the pain and suffering. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
Legacy Preparatory Charter Academy is a free kinder through 12th grade public school choice. We offer a trilingual K-6 program offering English, Spanish, and Chinese, along with a rich project-based learning environment, including engineering projects. Our 6th through 12th graders get their own laptop and follow a STEM curriculum, which includes information technology and health science as primary high school endorsements. We are preparing our elementary scholars for a rigorous secondary curriculum because when they qualify, they start high school courses in middle school and college courses in 9th grade. We have smaller class sizes and no tolerance for bullying. Let us be your free public school of choice. Call 469-249-1099 or visit legacypca.com to arrange a tour. Your children deserve to have a chance at free college. Legacy Preparatory Charter Academy. Call 469-249-1099 or visit legacypca.com to arrange your tour today.
Kirsty's telling me, quiet.
I got to admit, it's getting better, a little better, all the time.
You're getting better all the time. Now back to Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
Hello, welcome back. Ron, the Green Wizard, we have a question about people, I guess, who have done some of your things in your book and they don't water, but they said they know they need to water. They haven't watered in quite a while. They were wondering how often you water.
Other than going out to wash my yard or to sweeten the soil, I never water.
So how do you know when to sweeten your soil?
Because the day is beautiful and I am just chipper and I feel like going outside and playing with a garden hose.
Oh, okay. So it's not like something that lets you know you need to do that because you do have a beautiful lawn. Where do you live?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, I knew that. I knew it was Ohio, and I keep thinking Cleveland, but I think, is it a suburb of Cleveland, or are you actually in Cleveland?
Yeah, I'm in a suburb.
Okay. What's the name of the
suburb?
suburb?
I'm about 15 miles away from downtown Cleveland.
And what's the name of the suburb?
Garfield Heights.
Garfield Heights. See, if you never say it, people will never learn it. Right? And so people from small towns always get them to say, did you have something you wanted to say, Jim?
Well, we had talked over the break real quick about mentioning Ron's book again and his primary website or one of his websites. You can go to greenwizardguide.com and find out a lot of information, contact Ron, get some feedback from him. Ron's book is entitled The Green Wizard's Guide, and he just told us that Walmart is starting to carry that and ship it, and people are getting the book, and it's really, really doing well. And Ron, we were talking, this book is so good because it's not like this omnibus version of something, and you have to just page and page and page and look and look and look to find what you're looking for. Most people don't want to do that. What you've provided here, after paring down the 500 pages that you originally had, was simply, it's a gardener's guide. It's a guide, and you can go to it and find out in the simplest forms everything you need to know about a great lawn and garden.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a little bit of work, but it it's like I said earlier, it's a matter of me sitting down and explaining it. And I can go into extreme detail and just choke everybody out with it and go as scientific as possible, or we can just sit and have a conversation, and you'll better understand it.
Yeah.
You know, dealing with some of our weeds, like page 51 is a blank page in the book, but I cover it over on YouTube under the name Green Wizard, because what belongs there is a recipe for dealing with individual weeds, which is just a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of water, and the weed will die without hurting the surrounding soil.
We had the most giant weed. I told Jim, okay, the gluten worked for a while, but eventually with all the other stuff we did in the soil, I couldn't believe how big the weeds were. And so then we had to attack the weeds. I thought, man, everything, all of the plants were bigger, and it was wonderful. I did have someone who asked me if you, like us, this was actually one of my clients that does telehealth, they want to know if you do that, if they can call you for like telehealth, you know, for their lawn.
I've not set anything up, but I'm absolutely 100% reachable. I'm on your show every Saturday.
Yes, so hey, you could do it on the show, guys. I will text her and let her know that. But you could also, if they have a way to contact you, how would they contact you?
They can get a hold of me at no spaces, thegreenwizard@hotmail.com.
That's what I thought.
They can find me on YouTube and catch me in a live chat, and I can feed them the information. I just don't want to get into a paid-for situation where I'm getting cornered in and boxed in and wishing it was my hands in their soil trying to fix their yard.
Plus, I must say, Ron's got a pretty good life. You don't want to get all stressed out, right?
Right. No, speaking of, how is your gardener's friend, the first lady that we talked over,
Marilyn.
How's her yard doing this year?
You know what? Her place is beautiful. It is beautiful. And she had her grandkids over, threw the dawn on there, washed it, and her place is just beautiful. Now, we only have 1 minute and 20 seconds. I would love to have her on sometime to talk to you again. I actually thought about that, but we cannot have guests in the studio. And so we've been having to have people by phone, and that will continue. But when I can, I will have her to talk to you on one of the shows, because she loves being out, and she is in such good shape. You would never know how old she is. And she is, some people might say she's addicted to working in her yard. But it's that she doesn't have, she doesn't have any of those other addictions. She's a wonderful, happy, joyful person. And I did, after reading all the research, I thought, no wonder she's so happy. Now, I wanted to let you guys know again, you can go to YouTube to see this video later. You can go to Getting Better with Ann Beal on Facebook. You can get a hold of us, gettingbetterwithanbeal@gmail.com, or you can call us for counseling or life coaching. If you want to coach with or counsel with Ann, that's me, 817-501-1638. That's my business cell. And Jim's is 817-991-4964. That's Dr. Slaughter. We have loved having you on. Thank you so much, Ron, for being on.
Love being here. Thank you so much for your time.
And we love your book, The Green Wizard's Guide. It's available at Walmart or Amazon, of course. Anything else you would like to say?
No, Ron, great having you. Great to talk to you again.
And thanks, Christy, for being a great producer.